Black Myth Wukong has released on GeForce Now on day one, and this is a big thing because this was Steam's most wishlisted game for a while. GeForce Now is known to be one of the best ways to play some of the latest games at max settings without having crazy hardware, even at 4K. Can it handle Game Science's brand new game made in Unreal Engine 5? That's exactly what we're here to test. So sit and meditate as your cloud sensei covers Black Myth Wukong on both paid tiers of GeForce Now. So first things first, I'll only be covering the priority and ultimate tiers because this is a paid game. If you can afford to pay for the game, generally you'll be able to pay for a subscription. And honestly, you do not want to play this game in the free tier. Performance is already pretty bad for the priority tier, as you'll see. Now let me show you what I mean. So GeForce Now supports the Steam and Epic Games version of the game. Plus, mouse and keyboard and controller inputs are supported, so mobile players, bow to your sensei. The priority tier is usually comprised of two different machine configurations, the RTX 2080 and the RTX 3060 respectively. Both usually perform pretty similarly in most games, but not all the time. Is this the case with Wukong? Let's see. The default graphics settings set both of these tiers to high settings, but with FSR 3 on, along with its frame generation. Imagine relying on your competitor's technology to run a game on your own platform. What a time to be alive. Now what's odd is that the 3060 configuration has FSR set to 67% scaling, but I'm going to max it out to make it even for this test. Let's run that benchmark. Yeah, the 2080 configuration dominates, and it's not really that close. But the FPS results isn't what bothers me too much, it was the stuttering. And this is all because of the FSR frame generation. And what's worse is when I played in game, frame generation will give you additional input delay, which is something you do not need in this game at all. So here's what I recommend, especially for the 2080 configuration. Medium settings with DLSS on instead of FSR. Set the bar to about 50 or 60%. Frames were actually better, well, for the 2080 configuration, and you'll thank me in game because input feels much better. Gotta time those dodges just right. The 3060 configuration is just bad overall. It's time for upgrades. And speaking of upgrades, is the ultimate tier really worth it for this game? I usually don't recommend the Ultimate tier for games if they really don't need it. This game needs it. Unreal Engine 5 is no joke. If you want to enjoy this game and not have to worry about a thing, the Ultimate tier is your black belt in game streaming. But it's not perfect. Even this tier had its setbacks, especially at 4K. Let me show you. So the game defaults us at cinematic settings, which are the highest, with DLSS set to performance and frame generation on. Now, are these settings suitable? As you can see, these are not the best settings to hit that 120 FPS stream. Feel free to play with the settings yourself, but all you really need to do is lower the settings to high, and you'll get that desired average frame rate. And yes, with these settings, your inner Wukong will awaken, so you can counter and dodge to defeat even the mightiest foes. And with reflex on at 1080p, I felt even faster with the inputs. But of course, having the Ultimate tier doesn't make you immortal. Get good, kid! Plus, 240 FPS isn't a thing at 1080p. Sorry, Cloud Warriors. But ultra widescreen is another story. Wow. Ultra widescreen players can really hone in on their senses with plenty of visual coverage to see your opponents coming from every angle. Highly recommend. Now please know that there are some hardware requirements to run Ultra, especially in 4K. The link to those requirements are in the description. I'll also list some devices that are ready for the Ultimate tier right out of the box in the description as well, such as the Nvidia Shield TV Pro and our preferred mini PC. Overall, even though every tier other than the Ultimate tier might not run the game too well, GeForce Now is still one of the best ways to play. No downloading the game, no crazy expensive PC build. Priority could use an upgrade though, hopefully early next year. So if you like this overview of Black Myth Wukong on the paid tiers of GeForce Now, give us a like. Also, make sure to join as a member of the channel or join our Patreon and our Discord in the links below. And above all else, make sure to subscribe and keep it locked right here, at the only place we can do battle in gaming heaven, Cloud Gaming Battle. Sometimes you just gotta be ready for the smackdown.